Hey everyone, this is Renee Frey from TalentQ, and you're listening to the Conscious Professional Podcast. More people than ever want to be happy in their career and personal life, but they're going about it all wrong. I'm here to set the record straight and emphasize the importance of prioritizing your mindset. I'm thrilled you're here. Now, whether you're a seasoned pro in the corporate world or just starting out fresh out of college and entering the corporate working world, I think you're going to want to listen to this episode because today I'm going to be sharing with you the top 10 things I wish I knew before working in corporate America. There are so many things that I learned and things that I would have wanted someone to tell me beforehand, but I'm going to narrow it down to just 10 for you. So grab your coffee, your tea, whatever keeps you going, and let's spill the 10 things that I wish I knew. So to start, this may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised. One thing I wish I knew before I joined corporate America was that your career is your responsibility. Everything about it. How you perform at your job, how you get promoted, how you make lateral moves, how you get more projects, how you expand your skills. Every damn thing in your career is your responsibility. It's all up to you. When I first started working at the corporate giant Target, I worked at their headquarters office. And if I remember correctly, at the time, there were about 15,000 corporate employees. So I was swimming in a sea of pure competition. I totally thought my career progression would naturally happen as long as I worked hard, did a great job, and stayed loyal to the company. I thought if I did a kick-ass job and I was a top performer, outshined my peers, I'd naturally get promoted. Nope, that didn't happen. I actually have so many stories about this. One year, when I achieved the highest KPIs ever in my entire career, you want to know what happened? I got the lowest review score. What the fuck? You think I'd get the highest review score, right? I thought so too. I was completely dumbfounded. How does this even happen? I was totally shocked. Then I remembered back to my interviews. The interviews I had to go through to get the job at Target. I was concerned about taking a massive pay cut. I'm talking like over a $50,000 pay cut to join Target. And I brought my question up to one of the interviewers. The HR lady said to me, Target is a pay for performance company. When you do a good job, you'll get rewarded. At the time, I thought, awesome. I'll get right back up to what I was making fast because I'm always a top performer. Fast forward to the situation I'm just talking about, getting the lowest review score. I had an entire flashback to my interviews when I had asked that question and thought, what happened to Target being a pay-for-performance company? Apparently, that piece she told me was total bullshit. And there's so much emotion that goes on when a situation like this happens. You think, you're working hard, you're on track for a promotion, you're doing all the things, you're going above and beyond, you're working more than 40 hours a week. You feel like you have proved that you've earned it and you can see it. Your promotion is right around the corner. Then, whap, your boss promotes someone else on your team. You feel a huge slap in the face. Then the emotions, ego come raging in. Why wasn't I promoted? I had the best KPIs ever. What did I miss? What didn't I do? Where did I fall short? I'm better than them. My metrics are better than them. My overall performance is higher. All the comparison and judgment comes out. When this happened to me, I was fuming because it didn't just add up. Best KPIs and lowest review score. It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. Then I was fed up. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. For 3 years prior, I was a little puppet. I did everything my leaders asked of me. I exceeded my metrics. I always went above and beyond and asked for additional projects so I could expand my skills. I worked on numerous special projects. I helped out with the national recruiting conferences and traveled to participate and build relationships and recruit attendees at these conferences. And leading up to these conferences, we had so many meetings and so much additional work to do on top of my regular duties. I wasn't just working 40 hours a week. I was completely overloaded with work, but I had my mindset on getting promoted. One thing I learned the hard way is the importance of self-advocacy, whether it's asking for a raise, a promotion, or just to ask for the tools you need to do your job well. You have to be your own biggest cheerleader. Don't assume others will recognize your worth. You need to make it known. But here's the truth. No one is more invested in your career than you are. It's up to you to set your goals, seek out opportunities, and push for what you deserve. Don't wait for someone else to steer your ship. You're the captain. I wish I knew that networking is non-negotiable. My mantra is to always be networking. I wish someone had told me just how crucial networking is in the corporate world. It's not just about what you know, but who you know. Who you know in life is 5 million times more important than what you know. Who you know will get you further. You can get a new job just by knowing someone. You can get promoted easier if you know someone. When I worked at Target, I was a corporate recruiter. And Target had a great culture of promoting networking internally with all the employees. They used to call the meetings GTKY, an acronym for Get to Know You. And Target had thousands of acronyms, as I'm sure your company does too. It was an unwritten rule. If someone scheduled a Get to Know You meeting, you accepted it and you showed up. This was part of the culture. One thing Target did so well was collaboration. There was an incredible culture of collaboration when I worked there. They even had beautiful meeting spaces for people to meet, sit down, have these meetings to get to know each other. Here's a huge mistake I made, and I don't want you to end up like me. I was networking internally all the damn day. I knew so many people who could help me when I needed it, people who knew how to get projects moving faster, people who knew people I wanted to know, all the things. And after working there 7 years, when I came up for air to launch my business, TalentQ, I looked around and was like, oh shit, I've totally drank the Kool-Aid. I isolated myself to the echo chamber of networking with Target employees. That was my network. I hadn't kept up with my external network, which was a huge mistake. Building relationships with colleagues, mentors, industry professionals can open up doors that hard work alone might not. So investing time in nurturing your network, it is one of the most valuable assets you can have. So networking is non-negotiable, and be sure to network internally at your company and externally outside of your company. I wish I knew that work-life balance is total bullshit until you create it. Corporate culture often glamorizes the hustle, working long hours, being the first to the office and the last to leave. Well, that's what it was like when I worked in corporate. But I wish I had known sooner that work-life balance doesn't just happen. You have to create it. No one knows your workload until you speak up and tell them. No one knows the amount of work you can handle but you. And you guessed it, after I had the highest KPIs and the shittiest review score, you know what I did? I gave Target the 2 middle fingers and I vowed to myself I was only going to work 40 hours a week and that's it. Nothing more, not a second less. And you know, with salary jobs, you're not paid hourly. You're paid for the work that you deliver, which usually ends up being more than 40 hours anyways. But then next year, after only working 40 hours a week, guess what happened? You'll never believe this shit. I got the highest review score of my career. How the fuck did that happen? Yes, it's all total fucking bullshit. Going back in my case, I needed to set some boundaries, so my boundary was not working a second over 40 hours a week. And I'm sure some of you think that's crazy. For you high achievers, how could you just limit yourself and work 40 hours? I hear you. I thought the same thing too, but the trade-off for me was worth it. And holy shit, it paid off in dividends. You know what this meant though? When I limited my working hours in the week, I had to say no to things if I didn't have the bandwidth to do them and get them done. I had to set boundaries. And I know so many people who need so much help with setting boundaries. This is actually one of the biggest problems my clients deal with. Setting boundaries is not as hard as you really make it up to be. It's all up in your head. It's really rather simple. And I think we believe setting boundaries means you have to confront someone and have conflict. All that bullshit in your beliefs in your head is just a bunch of bullshit. The lies in your head that you've made up about setting boundaries. Having conversations about boundaries can be uncomfortable and challenging. I'm not saying it's easy, but it will be easier than you think. I've seen it myself in my clients when we work through it together. Once they are able to set boundaries with people, they tell me it went much better than they thought it would. But from the outside looking in, you may think that boundaries would separate us from others, cause tension. But they actually do the opposite. A boundary includes a request you make of someone to change a certain behavior and a consequence of what you will do if they violate the boundary. Because healthy boundaries promote self-responsibility and empowerment, they actually lead to closer relationships with others. I could go on and on about the importance of boundaries, not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life. But I'll save that for a future episode. I wish I knew that not every company culture is right for you. Early on, I thought that I just had to adapt to whatever company culture I found myself in. But not every culture is a fit for everyone, and that's okay. It's important to find an environment where you can thrive, where your values align with the company, and where you feel respected and valued. Don't be afraid to seek out a better fit if where you are now doesn't feel right. Don't forget, you are in the driver's seat of your career. If you feel stuck or unsure of how to grab your career by the reins and start looking for a new job that better aligns with your values, I'm actually hosting a live training next week on August 29th at 11 a.m. Central Time. And that training will help you do exactly this. This training is entirely free because I want to help you unlock the strategies that will help you land a job that you're truly aligned with who you are. And I've packed this training full of proven ways for you to start landing new job offers. So if this is something you're interested in, make sure you check the description of the episode where you can find the link to save your seat. Again, this training is entirely free and I'm inviting you to join me. Don't continue to suffer in a job that isn't for you. Your career belongs to you. All right, another thing I wish I knew is that soft skills are just as important as hard skills. Okay, here's the thing. While technical skills and knowing the ins and outs of your job are super important, it's actually your soft skills that really determine how far you'll go in any organization. I mean, yeah, you've got to know your stuff, but what really makes you stand out are the things like how well you communicate, your emotional intelligence, how you work in a team, and whether you can lead others. Let's break it down. In today's work environment where collaboration is key, being able to communicate effectively is a game changer. It's not just about getting your point across, but also about really listening to others, understanding where they're coming from, and tailoring your message so that it resonates. When you can do that, you build trust and teamwork, and that's what makes any project successful. Then there's emotional intelligence. This is huge. It's not just corporate buzzwords, it's real. Being able to recognize and manage your own emotions and understand other people's emotions too helps you navigate all the complexities of the workplace. It makes you better at handling stress, resolving conflicts, and leading with empathy, which is exactly what people look for in a leader. Plus, it helps you steer clear of all the office drama, which is always a bonus. Teamwork is another biggie. No matter where you work, you're going to be part of a team at some point. And your success is often tied to how well you work with others. Being a good team player means showing up for your teammates, being flexible, not letting your ego get in the way. When everyone's focused on the team goals, the results are usually pretty remarkable. And then there's leadership. Now, leadership isn't just about telling people what to do. It's about inspiring them, setting a vision, helping everyone move in the same direction. Good leaders know how to motivate their teams, how to make tough calls, and create space where everyone feels like they belong and can contribute. That's the kind of stuff that gets you noticed and helps you climb the corporate ladder. You know, I'll never forget when I was at Target, the leadership there would always say, even though you're not a formal manager, you can still be a leader in your role. And at the time I was like scratching my head. I mean, I thought leadership was all about having the title and managing a team, you know, the whole 9 yards. But over time, I started to get it. What they were really saying is that leadership isn't just about having a fancy title. It's more about how you show up every day, how you take charge of your responsibilities, how you influence the people around you, even if you're not officially in charge. At first, I struggled with that idea because I figured leadership was something you earned after climbing the ladder. But the truth is, it's about your mindset and how you handle yourself in whatever role you're in. It's about owning what you do, going above and beyond, and being the kind of person others look up to, even if it's just by consistently doing solid work, offering to help when someone needs it, or speaking up when you see a way to make things better. Once that clicked for me, everything changed. I realized I didn't have to wait for a promotion to start leading. I could do it right where I was. And honestly, that mindset made a bigger impact on my career than any job title ever could have. Leadership is really just about how you choose to act, how you treat people, how you contribute to the bigger picture, no matter where you sit in the company. So yeah, while your technical skills are what usually gets you in the door, It's your soft skills that keep you there and help you continue to move up. By focusing on these areas, you're not just becoming a better employee, you're setting yourself up for a successful and fulfilling career. I also wish I knew that change is the only constant. Corporate America is constantly shifting landscape. There's always some kind of restructuring, mergers happening, latest innovation shaking things up, or the next transformation. Looking back, I really wish someone had told me early on to expect and embrace change instead of resisting it. I used to think that if I just kept my head down and did my job well, I'd be safe. But that's not how it works. The reality is being adaptable and staying open to new opportunities is critical if you want to keep up, stay relevant, and actually thrive in your career. Here's the tough truth. They often see you as just another cog in the big, giant machine. You're expendable, and you can be let go at any time, sometimes with very little warning. I've learned this the hard way because I've been laid off twice in my career. And let me tell you, it is not easy. The first time I was at Century Insurance. It's my first job right out of college when I was working in insurance sales. Man, that was a massive blow to my ego. I was fresh out of school, full of hope and confidence. The idea of losing my job never even crossed my mind. So when it happened, I was completely shocked. I had no clue what to do next. And honestly, it felt like the rug was pulled right out from underneath me. Going through that taught me some hard, valuable lessons. One of the biggest is that you should always be prepared for the unexpected. You may have 3 different bosses in 1 year. That change can really suck. Trying to constantly adapt to a new leader of that frequency is exhausting. This is why no matter what is going on, keep your resume up to date, even when you're not actively looking for a job. You never know when you might need it. And don't ignore those messages, those LinkedIn messages or emails from recruiters just because you're happy where you are. It's so smart to stay open to conversations about any potential opportunity, even if you're not thinking about leaving your current company. You never know when these connections could come in handy, especially when change comes knocking at your door unexpectedly. And always be networking, so if something happens, you can quickly lean on your network to learn about potential opportunities. In the end, it's about being proactive and taking control of your career rather than waiting for things to happen to you. That's the mindset that'll help you thrive no matter what corporate America throws your way. I wish I knew that my job was to help my boss shine. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive because we're all focused on our own goals and our own career paths. But the reality is that when your boss looks good, it reflects well on you too. Think about it this way. If you can make your boss's life easier by anticipating their needs, delivering great work, and even solving problems before they become issues, you're not just doing your job, you're becoming invaluable. And when your boss looks good to the higher ups, they're more likely to trust you with bigger projects, recommend you for promotions, or give you more visibility within the company. It's a total win-win situation. And it's not about kissing up or losing sight of your own ambitions. You know I would never kiss up to anyone. So it's not doing that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's more about understanding that in the workplace, relationships and teamwork are key. If you're seen as someone who is always supporting and making things happen for your boss, that reputation will follow you and doors will open that you might not have even thought about. Plus, let's be honest, A happy boss often means more positive work environment for everyone. So I want you to grab your notebook or journal and write this down. This is a question that you can ask your boss that will make you stand out amongst everyone on your team. And you'll stand out amongst anyone they've ever managed before. Next time you have a status meeting with your boss, or when you're in a one-on-one meeting with them, I want you to ask them this question. How can I support you better? I'll repeat it so you can write the whole thing down. How can I support you better? This will blow your leader away when you ask this question. It will totally set you apart. I wish I knew that the grass isn't always greener. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the next job, the next promotion, or the next company is going to be the magic fix for everything. I've been there dreaming that just getting out of my current situation will solve all my problems. But honestly, I've learned that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Every company has politics. Every company has bullshit. People's egos, all of it. Pretty much it's always the same. Sometimes we're so focused on getting away from what's not working that we forget to ask ourselves if we're running towards something better or just running away from challenges that could actually help us grow. You know what I mean? Those tough situations at work, the ones that make us want to throw in the towel, can sometimes be opportunities in disguise. It's worth taking a step back and asking yourself if there's something to learn or a way to grow from where you're at now. Maybe it's about tackling a tough project, working through some difficult relationships, or even just pushing through a rough patch. I'm not saying that you should stay in a job that's making you miserable. I would never say that. But before you jump ship, it's good to make sure you're not missing out on growth opportunities right where you are. In the end, every job is going to have its challenges. And the key is figuring out whether those challenges are something you can turn into a positive. Sometimes staying and working through the hard stuff can lead to way more growth than hopping to the next shiny opportunity. To be honest, it's easier to stay grounded where you are because in your role, you know how to get work done. You know the different approval processes. You know how to make shit happen. So before you make a move, it's worth taking a minute to see if the grass you're standing on just needs a little watering. I wish I knew sooner that it's okay to fail. Well, more realistically in my eyes, that it's okay to make mistakes. Because I truly don't believe in failure. How I see failure is if you give up and you throw in the towel, then you've failed. And you know me, I will never give up, so true failure doesn't exist in my world. We'll continue with the word mistakes for this context. Making mistakes is part of life, and it's definitely a part of corporate life. I wish I had known earlier that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you learn from them and make adjustments to prevent them from happening again. I will never, ever forget this situation at Target. A time I made a huge mistake. I thought it was a career-ending mistake. I totally thought I was going to get fired because of it. Here's what happened. I was recruiting for a director level role, and after the interviews, the entire interview team would meet to recap and have a discussion if the candidate was recommended, moving forward and hiring them, or if we were going to turn them down for the position. The HR director, who was part of the interview team, was unable to make it to the recap meeting, and then she ended up going out of town. And the entire interview panel, they were all thumbs up to hire this director candidate. And I was so excited. I moved forward with getting approvals for compensation from my HR partner. I went so far as to even extend the offer to the candidate, and they accepted the role. Woohoo, I was so excited. Then I realized, oh fuck, I did not get the HR director's feedback on the interviews. This was the gal who was tough. She wasn't warm and friendly. She was a tough cookie. I always own up to all my mistakes. So I go tell my boss what happened, and I tell her the approach I was going to take. Then a few days later, when I knew the HR director would be back, I went down to her office and I asked if I could chat with her. I explained what happened. I shared that I was moving too quickly to secure the candidate for the role, and moving forward, this won't happen again, I created a checklist for executive level roles so that I would make sure I would always get her feedback and it wouldn't be missed again. And she was like, okay, that's fine. She wasn't upset, angry. I didn't get fired. Whew. I was so relieved. Don't let the fear of failure or making mistakes hold you back from taking risks or trying something new. And more importantly, I'd wish I'd known that your identity is not your job title. Your identity is so much more than your job. Seriously, your worth isn't tied to your job title or what you do from 9 to 5. It's easy to get wrapped up in work and let it define who you are, but you're a whole person outside of the office too. It's so important to cultivate interests that have nothing to do with work, whether it's a hobby, spending time with friends and family, or just finding things that make you happy and bring you joy, and maintaining those relationships outside of work. That's key. Your job can change in an instant, but the people who care about you and the things you love to do those are the things that keep you grounded. And as I've gotten older, something I find really fascinating is that I'll meet people or make new friends, and weeks, months, years go by, and I have no clue what they do for a living. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. I think as we evolve, we realize that someone's job isn't the most important thing about them. What really matters is the kind of person they are and the interests we share. It's less about titles and more about connection. Like, are they kind? Do they make me laugh? Do I enjoy spending time together? Those are the things that really count. The rest is just details. It's funny how the stuff we thought was so important when we were younger kind of fades into the background, and we start to value the things that truly make life richer. So yeah, don't let your career define your self-worth. You're more than just your job, and it's okay to remind yourself of that, especially when work gets stressful. So there you have it. The 10 things I wish I'd known before jumping into the corporate world. I really hope these insights help you navigate your own career with a bit more confidence and clarity. The last thing I want to touch on is corporate life isn't for everyone. For me, it was a means to the end. It was a growing and learning phase for me, but I knew about 4 years into my career, I didn't want to work for other people. I wanted to start a company and be the boss. To be honest, I have zero desire to work for anyone else ever again. It's not in my DNA. I'm a visionary with big ideas. Corporate America, although I played the game well and I had a great, fulfilling career, I always felt limited. There were always restrictions that I felt. If I had an idea, it had to go through all these people for them to approve it before we could implement it, which is flippin' exhausting and takes a shitload of time. If you can relate to this, I want you to get out there and follow your dreams and all of your desires. Don't let your steady paycheck hold you back. You can make whatever kind of money you want, and you can 10x your salary with the right mindset and actions. If you know you love working at a corporation, that's fantastic too. For you, I encourage you to find your passion in your work and never shy away from learning new things. Corporate America can feel like a jungle sometimes, or maybe a roller coaster ride, but with the right mindset and a few solid tools in your back pocket, you can not only survive, but actually thrive. So the key points from today's episode are: Success in corporate America comes from taking charge of your own career. Understanding that your identity extends beyond your job title is crucial for personal fulfillment. Never stop building connections both within and outside of your organization. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Share this episode with someone you love and go make one change to be better than you were yesterday. Live your life with intention. I believe in you. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible. So if you would, please hit the follow button so we can grow our community of conscious professionals. Whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can find the button at the top of the page. See you next week. Cheers, everyone.